system, right? Then I want to know from the ground up how you become a great sales leader. I want to know how you become a great district, a good VP. I had to know, so when somebody came to me and asked me, how do I get to be a VP? I could not just tell them, I could show them what I did. So he drew out a little chart, and every Monday morning we had to report to this guy, and he was a policeman. There's in authority and an authority. In authority is a cop, and he was a cop. And every Monday morning, I remember going to those meetings, and he set us all down, the full-timers. And he was helping us. At the time, we didn't know it. And he would ask us, how many people did you talk to this week? How many policies did you pick up? How many sales did you close? How many referrals? How many people did you bring to the meeting? So we were accountable for all those numbers every week. And I appreciate that today now because it gave me the discipline to know. And I said, what's the formula to win here? And he told me something, and I was the only guy I know to this date that did it. And I did it until my personal income through sales was overcome by my personal income through recruiting. It took me 3 years to build enough people to offset my income. He said, you got to sit at 2 kitchen tables a night with the family. And he said, if the wife's not there, don't sit. Because what's going to happen? My husband will always say, no, I'm in charge of everything, right? And then he says, well, my wife says, you know. So I learned that 2 a night, 4 nights a week. And he said on the 5th night, if you've seen 8 people in 4 nights, he said you will make more money than you ever made in your life. Because as long as you're not selling, you're going out there recruiting, sharing the dream, the vision. So I didn't go in to sell you, I went in to sell you on yourself that you can do it too. And I started recruiting. And he said the missing ingredient for you is you got to learn to bring people to a meeting. So I got rid of the 911 Porsche and I bought a Suburban. And I started getting as many people in as I could to bring them to a meeting. Now you can laugh if you want. My friends thought I was crazy. See, the first 6 months in this business, all my friends thought I was crazy. The second 6 months, I thought I was crazy. But 3 years later, I thought everybody else was crazy for not doing it. And it was a humbling experience. I've never, long story short, my 11th month in the business, I made $62,000. It took me 15 years running the biggest property and casualty agency in town to make $60,000 a year. In 1 month, 11 months later, I made $62,000. Now look, I tell people this because you're not going to go through. I wish it wasn't so hard. I wish I could tell you it was easy. I wish I could tell you you're not going to have a lot of pain. But what you got to do starting today is you got to forget about the past because there's nothing you can do about it. All you can control is your future, and your actions speak louder than words. So what you've got to do is you've got to take this thing and don't listen to everybody that's a naysayer. Even my wife thought I was crazy. I said, look, as long as I can put a roof over your head, I have met some guys that make $80,000 a month. Do you understand how that can change your life? That means you can go from a little bitty teeny ring you got to a big old ring. That means you can stop wearing Walmart and Target stuff and you can start buying Louis Vuitton like she said, or the other thing. And then that means you can stop shopping there and shop at Neiman's, and she took me up on all that. So I had to go to work. I'm glad I did because I set the record in that company for 8 straight years on personal income. I made more personal income, more personal sales than anybody in the history of that company for 8 years. The company was called A.O. Williams. And 8 years later, the second guy in command came to me and he said, look, you need to go start your own deal. I said, what are you talking about? I'm in the top 20 of the company now. Because I had built successful people, and I had 7 to 10 key people that were doing what I did. They were doing 30, 40 sales a month. I was doing 100 sales a month in my base shop. But because of that, we built tremendous incomes. He said, you're not going to like the guys from New York that bought the company. And he said, Art's going to sell this company. And he said, these guys from New York could care less about the clients, could care less about the agents. They're all about the bottom line. So I said, what am I going to do? So I went out and started talking to some companies. Some AOE, the big guys, came with me. We started a company called NMA. And if you think you're good at sales, I flew to Dallas and talked to a guy. I was broke because they cut my income off the day I quit. See, I signed a stupid contract that said